What happens when the West finally understands Japanese storytelling? And more importantly, do Japanese creators actually like what they're seeing? Or do they see just adaptations as something completely different from the original vision? And now, groundbreaking shows like Castlevania and Devil May Cry are starting to set the tone for a new generation of anime-influenced Western animation. We're going to take a deep dive into how Western animation evolved from its earliest beginnings to the present, and how it slowly started connecting with anime and Japanese storytelling.
What do Japanese think of Western anime?
To understand that, we have to go back to where both animation styles began and how they developed in completely different directions.
Cotton picking minute. This don't look like the Coachella Valley to me.
With American occupation, the Japanese people soon discovered that there are other ways of life.
Following World War II, Japan was rebuilding itself. The country was rapidly modernizing, and entertainment became an important part of everyday life. One of the people who would have the biggest impact on animation was Osamu Tezuka, often referred to as the god of manga. Tezuka was inspired by both Japanese storytelling and Western animation, especially the films of Walt Disney. But rather than simply copying Western cartoons, Tezuka wanted to tell stories in a different way. His works focus on character development, emotion, dramatic tension, and long-form storytelling. In 1963, that vision helped create one of the most important animated series in history, Astro Boy. Astro Boy wasn't the first animated work created in Japan, but it became the first anime series to achieve major success both in Japan and internationally. For many viewers in North America, Astro Boy was their first introduction to Japanese animation. The show's success helped establish many of the techniques that would become associated with anime, including serialized storytelling, cinematic camera angles, and emotional character-driven narratives. As the years passed, Japan's animation industry continued to grow. During the 1970s, anime began exploring larger and more ambitious ideas. Shows such as Speed Racer, Lupin 3, Mazinger Z, and Space Battleship Yamato helped push the medium forward in different ways. Some focus on action and adventure, while others introduce more mature themes, deeper world building, and ongoing story arcs. These series expanded what audiences expected from animated storytelling and laid the foundation for what would come next. Tezuka's influence could still be felt throughout the industry. His work drew inspiration from Disney's expressive animation, the cinematic techniques of filmmakers, and traditional Japanese narrative themes, and many creators built upon the storytelling approach he helped pioneer. Series like Mazinger Z helped popularize giant robot stories, while Space Battleship Yamato introduced more complex narratives and long-form storytelling. Then came Mobile Suit Gundam. Unlike many action cartoons of his time, Gundam treated war, politics, and human conflict with a level of seriousness rarely seen in animation. Anime was no longer viewed as just entertainment for children. It was becoming a medium capable of telling stories for a wide range of audiences. By the 1980s, Japan's animation industry was entering a new era. Studios were producing more series than ever before, and anime was beginning to develop a passionate fan base both inside and outside of Japan. What started as a unique form of Japan entertainment was slowly becoming a global phenomenon. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, anime was beginning to reach audiences far beyond Japan. One of the biggest turning points came in 1988 with the release of Akira. Its stunning animation, mature themes, and cinematic presentation challenged the idea that animation was only for children. For many Western viewers, Akira was unlike anything they had ever seen. The film demonstrated that animation could tell complex stories, aimed at older audiences, and helped open a door for anime outside of Japan. Another major milestone arrived in 1995 with Neon Genesis Evangelion. Created by Hideaki Anno, the series combined giant robots, psychological drama, philosophy, and deeply flawed characters in a way that challenged expectations of what animation could be. Together, Akira and Evangelion helped establish anime as a serious artistic medium and attracted growing international interest. At the same time, Japanese video games were becoming increasingly popular around the world. Franchises such as Mario, Zelda, Final Fantasy, Mega Man, Sonic, and Pokemon introduced millions of people to Japanese art styles, storytelling, and creative design philosophies. Anime and video games were growing side by side, helping spread Japanese pop culture across the globe. As the 1990s progressed, anime became increasingly visible to mainstream audiences. Shows like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Pokemon, and Digimon introduced an entirely new generation to Japanese storytelling. Television networks around the world began airing anime regularly, bringing Japanese animation into living rooms on a scale never seen before.
The Pokemon trading card game. All the creatures, all the battles.
For many kids growing up in the 1990s and early 2000s, anime wasn't replacing Western animation. They were growing up with both. Many watched SpongeBob SquarePants, Batman the Animated Series, and Dexter's Laboratory during the day, then watched Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, or Sailor Moon. For the first time, an entire generation was being influenced by both Western cartoons and Japanese anime at the same time. As anime's popularity continued to grow, conventions began appearing across North America, Europe, and other parts of the world. Events that started as small gatherings of dedicated fans grew into massive celebrations of anime, manga, gaming, cosplay, and Japanese pop culture. By the early 2000s, 3 series came to define anime for an entire generation: One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. Often referred as the Big Three, these shows dominated television, manga sales, online communities, and fan culture for years. Together, they introduced millions of new viewers to anime and helped transform the medium from a niche hobby into a global entertainment force. As the 2010s began, anime entered another major era of growth. Streaming services and online communities made anime more accessible than ever before. Series such as Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, and Haikyuu attracted massive international audiences and introduced a new generation of fans to anime. By the late 2010s and into the 2020s, anime's popularity exploded once again. Demon Slayer became a worldwide phenomenon due to Kaisen attracted millions of viewers, and anime was no longer viewed as a niche interest. It had become mainstream part of global entertainment. What began decades earlier with Astro Boy had grown into a worldwide cultural force, and the children who grew up watching anime were about to shape the future of animation itself.
Come on, Deku.
As anime continued to grow around the world, something else was happening. The children who grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Naruto, Bleach, and countless other anime series were becoming adults. Many of them pursued careers in animation, filmmaking, gaming, comics, and entertainment. For the first time, an entire generation of creators had grown up with anime as a normal part of their lives. To them, anime wasn't foreign. It wasn't a niche. It was simply another form of storytelling. As these creators entered the industry, anime's influence began appearing everywhere. Its impact could be seen in action choreography, storytelling, character design, world building, and long-form narratives. The influence extended far beyond Japan. It began shaping animation in the West. One of the earliest and most influential examples was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Although created in the United States, the series drew inspiration from anime, East Asian cultures, serialized storytelling, and character-driven narratives. The show demonstrated that Western animation could successfully embrace many of the elements that anime fans love. Other series would follow, such as The Boondocks, RWBY, Castlevania, Arcane, and Devil May Cry incorporated varying degrees of anime influence into their storytelling, visual presentation, and action sequences. Some were based directly on Japanese properties, others were original productions inspired by the medium itself. But they all reflected the same reality. The generation that grew up watching anime was now helping create the future of animation. The line between Western animation and anime-inspired storytelling was becoming increasingly difficult to define. An interesting question began to emerge. How did Japanese creators feel about this new wave of Western anime? After decades of anime-inspired creators around the world, one question stands out. What do Japanese creators actually think about Western anime? Some praise Western studios for embracing anime-inspired storytelling while bringing their own ideas and perspectives. Masashi Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, has spoken positively about Avatar: The Last Airbender, calling it a work I respect. Hayao Miyazaki famously said, "Animation is not a genre, it is a medium." Hideaki Anno has also stressed that anime is shaped by Japanese culture, not just by its visual style. Others believe that although many Western productions capture the look of anime, they don't always reflect the cultural influences, storytelling traditions, or creative philosophies that help shape anime in Japan. In other words, looking like anime doesn't necessarily make something anime. At the same time, many Japanese creators have expressed appreciation for seeing their work inspire artists around the world. Rather than viewing it as competition, they often see it as a sign of how influential anime has become. Series such as Avatar: The Last Airbender, Castlevania, and Devil May Cry have also sparked conversations about where the line between anime and Western animation really exists. Some viewers consider them anime, others see them as Western animation inspired by anime. And from my perspective, that label matters less than whether the story is good and the action is awesome. Perhaps the most important takeaway of all, the conversation is no longer about whether the East or the West creates better animation. Japanese and Western animation now shape each other in real time. What began as inspiration flowing in one direction has become a creative exchange that keeps growing stronger, more complex, and more connected. So where does animation go from here? For over a century, animation has constantly evolved. What began as a simple hand-drawn cartoons in the early 1900s grew into a distinct creative tradition. In the West, animation began a global entertainment industry built around iconic characters and television. In Japan, anime developed its own storytelling style, artistic identity, and cultural influence. For many years, these worlds grew side by side, then something remarkable happened. Anime crossed borders. Millions of viewers around the world embraced Japanese storytelling, and an entire generation of artists, writers, and animators grew up inspired by it. Those fans eventually became creators themselves, bringing anime's influence into Western animation while adding their own ideas, experiences, and perspectives. Today, the creative exchange continues in both directions. Japanese creators continue to inspire artists around the world, while Western productions introduce new audience to anime and contribute fresh ideas back into the global animation community. The conversation is no longer about choosing one style over another. It's about learning from one another and pushing the art form forward together. Whether you consider shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Castlevania, or Devil May Cry to be an anime or simply anime inspired, one thing is clear. The influence of anime has become impossible to ignore. And perhaps that's the biggest takeaway of all. The future of animation won't be defined by geography, it will be defined by creativity. Because great stories don't belong to one country. Everyone willing to create them. Thank you for watching.